everybody, welcome back to Jackson Jetsetting. Today I want to make a video about your first Disney cruise, or if you haven't sailed Disney Cruise Line in quite a while. There are a lot of things to remember as soon as you book, making sure that you are taking advantage of all of the best things to do on board, all of the important dates to book those things on board, as well as check in for your sailing. So I wanted to make this long video to make sure that you are remembering absolutely everything, to make sure you don't miss out on anything on this very important and often very expensive voyage. I've pulled everything together from Disney's official website, personal experience, and even some tips that the most cruised passengers may forget from time to time. So here's your full guide to sailing on Disney Cruise Line for the first time. And a quick reminder, if you love this type of content, if you love cruising, if you love Disney, consider subscribing to the channel or at least liking this video. It really helps me out. So the number one tip I'm gonna give you is as soon as you book your Disney cruise, you're gonna wanna download the Disney Cruise Line app. It's called the Navigator App. The Navigator App is essential to both before you cruise and once you're on board. Before you cruise, you'll be able to use it to book excursions, things to do on board, dining reservations for those specialty restaurants, and also check in for your actual voyage. And if anything, there's a fun little countdown on the app that helps you count down the days until your cruise. It's pretty fun to look at each day. Also, before you cruise, you can select a character call from Disney Cruise Line. You're limited to 2, I found out, on this cruise that we just booked. But you can have Mickey or Donald or Goofy call you, or maybe a kid that's sailing with you, and get them really excited for the voyage as well. So definitely take advantage of that. It's free. Once you're on board, the Navigator app is going to be a really big source of what's going on around the ship. You can make those reservations as last minute reservations. You can see what kind of activities are happening during the day and throughout your voyage. Usually they load the entire voyage up onto the app so you can kind of plan your whole sailing, which is awesome. And they have a little heart symbol next to each activity, so you can select that and it saves it for later, so you can always kind of know what interested you in the past when the time actually comes up to do the activity. This app works on airplane mode. You just have to connect to the ship's Wi-Fi, and you don't have to purchase an internet plan, which is really great. In the app or on the Disney Cruise Line website, you can also select your dining time. There are 2 dining times on board Disney Cruise Line. One is at 5:45, that's early seating, and then late seating at 8:15 p.m. So when one group is dining, the other group is seeing the show, and vice versa. So if you have the early seating, you're gonna be seeing the show after dinner, and that'll flip for the late seating. Now, the early seating does go first. That's definitely the most popular on board. So there is a wait list available if it is sold out by the time that you book. I do recommend booking a lot of Disney cruises as early as possible because there's just so many things that you have to book pretty far in advance. So this is the first thing that comes up, is you can select your dining as soon as you book your cruise. So I do recommend doing that absolutely first. And if you don't make it off the wait list before your cruise, do board on embarkation day and speak to the dining team. If they have space, they may be able to move you immediately or put you onto a wait list. So like I just said, I do recommend booking a Disney cruise as far out as possible because there are a few key dates to remember for booking those excursions, cabanas, different activities on the ship. Our upcoming cruise, we booked a little too late for that, but we still were able to get a lot of things booked. So don't fret if you have to book that last minute cruise, you're still gonna have a great time on board. Just know that if you are a first time cruiser, you're gonna be able to book activities, shore excursions. That's gonna begin at 12 midnight, 75 days out. So 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's very important to remember if you're on a different time zone that it's gonna be a little bit earlier, most likely. If you're on the West Coast, makes it a little bit easier, but if you're on the East Coast, you're gonna be staying up till midnight to select those premier activities and things like that. And let me tell you, the rest of the ship is also doing that. So do not miss this date. If you've sailed before, your date is a little bit further out, so you have a few more choices. Things sell out a little bit less quickly. So Silver Castaway members who have sailed at least once on Disney Cruise Line have 90 days from their sailing to book their excursions and things like that. Gold members can book 105 days out, Platinum members 120 days out, Pearl members 123 days out, and concierge can book 130 days out as long as they are emailing the concierge team on shore. Otherwise, online reservations begin at the same time as Pearl, 123 days out. So the number one thing that's going to book earliest and fastest are the Castaway Cay cabanas. At this point, they're basically reserved just for concierge guests because most of the time the concierge guests are actually the ones booking these up. It's a big draw of booking concierge to begin with. They're very popular. So they send an email 130 days out, and then typically Pearl and Platinum members may have a little bit more of a chance. If you're a first-time cruiser, it's very unlikely that you're going to secure a reservation for these cabanas. Now at Lookout Point, Disney's newest private island, you may have a little bit more luck, but on Castaway Cay, they're quite popular. Other reservations like Palo Brunch, Remy, these go very fast as well. Palo Brunch is probably the second most popular item that gets booked up the quickest, but you may have some opportunity to be able to book that as a lower tier member or a first time cruiser. Disney also offers Royal Court tea and other specialty character breakfasts that are an extra charge. And so that may be available to you at this check-in date if you're sailing on one of those select sailings. And Disney also offers beverage tastings and mixology classes, so you can book those during this time as well. So we have a child under 3, and he's a little too young for the Oceaneers Club on his own quite yet. Pro tip, they do have plenty of open house times for kids that are too young or adults that are too old to visit some of the facilities, so definitely take advantage of that on board. But the Disney Cruise Line does offer a nursery for kids under 3, which is absolutely awesome. And you can pre-book those during this activities booking time as well. You can book up to 10 hours before you get on board, and then once you're on board, you have a little bit more flexibility with how much you can book. So if you are interested in that, take advantage of it. It's themed to It's a Small World. It's very cute, and the staff in there are absolutely incredible. We've utilized it very sparingly because we just love spending time with our kid on board. This next voyage, we are going to take advantage of the nursery for a few select times while on board. Now, one last date to remember is 30 days out from your voyage, especially if you have people in your group that are excited about meeting some of the Disney princesses. They have the Royal Gathering on board, and this is bookable 30 days in advance at midnight Eastern time. The Royal Gathering is completely free, but it's very limited in capacity, and you can meet multiple princesses all at the same time. So if you have a little girl in your group, this is something that you definitely want to bookmark. You definitely want to mark your calendars for, so do not miss this because it sells out immediately. If your favorite activity that you were eyeing does sell out, don't fret. There are plenty of wait lists on board, and last minute cancellations happen all the time. Because of this system, Disney cruisers really do have to be incentivized to book things up in advance, and then they can cancel once on board once they kind of have more solidified times. Just know that people are going to switch their schedule up on board, and hopefully you can benefit from that. So Disney uses rotational dining, and there are 3 main dining restaurants that are included in your cruise, which is really awesome. Your wait staff follows you restaurant to restaurant. They really get to know you. The only problem with this is that Disney doesn't tell you what your restaurant is on the first night until you board. So if you do come across this issue and you've booked Palo on your night that you're going to go into Animator's Palette and that was what you were looking forward to the most, don't fret, just go visit the dining team and they can help you move things around and hopefully accommodate you. Now moving away from activities, now we want to talk about checking into your Disney cruise. So everyone checks in 30 days out at midnight Eastern time to get a port arrival time. The port arrival time is very important because it starts your vacation early. You get to go on board the ship first, you can go get lunch, you can go hit the water slides. I like embarkation day because things are a little bit less busy as people are still checking in. So you can kind of hit those water slides with a little bit less of a line. It's something I definitely recommend that people take advantage of. I believe the earliest port arrival times start at about 10:15 or 10:30. That can kind of vary based on the embarkation port that you're in and go all the way up to 2:30 or 3 p.m. Really just depends on the sail time, and the Disney app will give you all of the different options available to you when you're checking in. Disney is pretty strict about that arrival time, and they will make you wait outside in a line until your time arrives. And if you're sailing with multiple cabins, you're going to want to try and check in all at once and get that same port arrival time. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait with the latest arrival time if you do want to board as a group. Now, to secure that port arrival time, you are going to have to go through the check-in process. So have security photos for everyone in your party ready to go. It's basically like a passport photo, but a little bit less strict. You can submit those and they may get rejected, but they don't like check them automatically. So at least just submit a photo during this process to get it going. You are going to want everyone's passport information or boarding documents as well. So just have all that organized, ready to go. And then one of the last screens available will be that port arrival time selection. Disney even mailed us our luggage tags. They are one of the last cruise lines to actually still do this. It's really cool. You can open this up and they have, just gets you really excited for your cruise. You have something physical. It's like really gonna happen. So I like that Disney still does this. If all this seems kind of insane to remember, It kind of is. If you're trying to do this all alone, I understand the frustration and a little bit of the anxiety involved. That's why I do recommend people use a travel agent. And surprise, surprise, I'm a travel agent. I run my own travel agency. It's one of the reasons why I run this channel. So if you're looking for a little bit of extra help in booking your cruise, if you haven't booked already, reach out to me. You can go to jacksonjetsetting.com/book or click the link down below to get a free quote. And my services are completely free. I'm a little biased, but I think that you should just go ahead and use me if you're thinking of booking your next Disney cruise. What do you say? So these luggage tags are obviously for your checked luggage, because once you arrive at port, you're going to drop them off with porters. Make sure to tip the porters, and they'll take all that checked luggage and it'll arrive at your stateroom sometime in the evening of your first day. That presents a little bit of a problem because you may want to enjoy the pool on your embarkation day. You may want some dry clothes, so do pack a bag with all the essentials that you might need until that luggage arrives later in the evening. Medication, sunscreen, change of clothes, swim trunks, things like a change of clothes, swimsuits. I often just wear my swimsuit on board so I can hit the pool immediately after lunch. And plenty of other people are doing it too, so don't feel awkward about that. But just come ready for the pool, enjoy your time, change into those dry clothes, and then once your stateroom's ready at 1:30, you can at least drop off wet clothes and get organized a little bit, and your bags will show up sometime in that first evening on board. Another thing to consider packing in that carry-on bag on embarkation day is alcohol. So Disney Cruise Line has a very flexible, very generous alcohol policy. They don't offer any beverage packages on board, so that's kind of a surprise for frequent cruisers that are first time on board Disney, but it makes sense. Disney doesn't want a bunch of drunks running around the ship. I totally get that. So what they do allow are adults 21 and up to bring 2 bottles of wine or 6 beers per person on embarkation day. This is a pretty generous option, and it's really nice for people that have a certain type of wine or certain type of beer that they may not sell on board that you can just bring on board on that first day. And if you're stopping somewhere that's a public port that's not one of Disney's private destinations, you can actually bring 2 bottles of wine or 6 beers on board at each port, which is really nice for those European sailings where you're gonna be finding some really nice wine. You know, it's just a really nice option that Disney allows for the adults in the party to bring their own wine on board. Now, there are some ways to save on alcohol during your voyage. One thing I love is the beer mug. Basically, you purchase a beer mug, and for the 16-ounce price, you get 20 ounces of beer, so a little bit of savings there. And you can reuse the mug on future Disney cruises, which is really awesome. The other thing for wine drinkers is the sommelier's bin. And so they basically charge one price for a random glass of wine. You can select red, white, or bubbly. And you're gonna get something, you're not gonna be able to choose what type of brand, but sometimes you can get really premium wines because it's just gonna be an open bottle that they don't wanna waste. So it's really a win-win for everyone. Now, if your Disney cruise stops at Castaway Cay or Lighthouse Point, I do recommend getting off as early as possible because you do wanna secure a really nice beach chair as front and center as possible on the luxurious beach. Now, the nice thing about these private island destinations that Disney has built for themselves is that they only allow one Disney ship at a time. They're private to you. It's really nice because it really prevents a lot of the overcrowding that I've seen at other private island destinations throughout my cruises. If you love cruising, check out some of the other content on my channel. I love cruises in general, not just Disney, but overall, it's really an amazing experience. So if you do want a prime beach spot, I do recommend getting off early. Though we've stumbled off the ship a little bit later and found a perfectly fine beach chair, there are plenty to go around. And if you're sailing as adults, they do have Serenity Bay, which is an adults only experience, and they have special menu items there like grilled steak that aren't available at the other included options on the island. All the food on the island is going to be complimentary, which is awesome. If you're stopping somewhere else besides one of Disney's private islands, you may consider booking a shore excursion. You can do that through the ship, and that's perfectly fine. Sometimes the ship excursions, though, can be a little bit more expensive than the same exact or very similar experience that you can book through an independent contractor. And depending on the port, I do recommend booking outside of Disney Cruise Line because it's just going to save you a whole bunch of money. Now, note, I'm going to build in some buffer time when I do that because if that tour is late that you booked outside of Disney Cruise Line, you're going to get left behind. Doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. So just keep that in mind. My favorite website to book shore excursions through is Shore Excursion Group. I'm going to put a link down below in the description, but it's really great because you just have to put in your actual cruise on their website and they pull up all of the ports that you're visiting automatically, and you can select any of the options that they might have available. Another unique aspect about Disney Cruise Line is that sodas are included on board. I love this. They have soda machines all throughout the ship. mostly in cabanas and on the pool deck, but also in the main dining rooms. So you can always get that Coca-Cola. They use Coca-Cola products, no Pepsi, which is great. But bottled water and other specialty non-alcoholic beverages like smoothies or specialty coffees are going to be an extra charge on board. Do get a coffee card if you're someone who likes specialty coffees like myself. If you do buy specialty coffees on board, I do recommend getting a coffee card because every 5 coffees that you buy, you get a 6th one free. And if you don't quite hit that 5th coffee during your voyage, you can save them for the next Disney cruise. And I mentioned this earlier in the video, but there's no need to buy an internet package if you don't need it. You can use the Navigator app for completely free. And there's even messaging within the app so that you can message the rest of your party. That's pretty awesome. Another little secret is that iMessaging somehow works on board. I don't think that they've patched this yet, but if you have an iPhone, iMessaging does work to be able to contact people both on the ship and on shore. It's kind of awesome. Disney Cruise Line uses Starlink now, so the internet is super fast. You can purchase a package, but it is a little expensive. So thanks a lot for making it to the end of this video. I hope some of the tips that I talked about are gonna help you save money or time or heartbreak on your next Disney Cruise Line voyage. I will say this cruise line is not the cheapest, but it represents one of the best experiences that my family has ever had. I really enjoy the product that Disney puts out, and I just really want everyone to have a great time on board. If you book through me or not, I just really hope that you found this video very informative and that you come back to the channel for more tips and tricks in the future. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.